Hi friends, I love having you back here. Welcome back to my channel. If you happen to be new, hi there, I'm Stephanie and I run a channel dedicated to language learning and to giving you the best tips for learning languages so that you might do so in an efficient and fun manner. And what better way to learn a language in a fun manner than using music? If you're interested to know how, stay tuned. Here's the thing. When it comes to learning languages, if you're a returning subscriber, you already know my philosophy. If you're new, I'm a huge believer in immersing yourself in the language. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean living in the country, it just means letting the language wash over your brain in every way imaginable. Be that through reading, listening, video, whatever form of input you like, but making sure you're consuming as much original language content as possible, because at the end of the day, that's where the real learning happens. It doesn't happen through drills or reading comprehension questions or learning conjugation tables. That is just rote knowledge. It's not actually about the language sinking in your head and you being able to use it later. So that's why input is so important. And music is one of the best ways to learn through input because it's just so fun and engaging. Now, music works in several ways. One is that you have that aspect of it just sticking in your brain like nothing else will. I'm sure that you know songs from your childhood. You still remember them, you know them by heart, you can sing them. You know, it doesn't matter how many years later, you know, it's gonna depend on your age obviously, but it doesn't matter if you're 10 years in, you know, or like 20 years, 30, 40, 50 years or more after you heard that song for the first time, chances are you are gonna remember most of those songs by heart. Now, especially when it comes to songs that you actually like, or maybe even ones you don't like, but for some reason they had some special emotional significance for you, it's just so hard to forget. Music forges this bond with the brain that is really difficult to break. There's something about the notes and the lyrics and how they combine that just makes it stick forever. And so it's not that this is about memory or anything, but there's something to be said about learning phrases in such a way, because a song is really going to help you learn certain phrases. So music works so well because it connects with your emotional level, so you remember really well, but also because it's the right type of memory and it helps you remember phrases, not isolated words that you have no idea how to use. So it helps phrases go down in your brain, and in a way it's one of the best ways to do chunking, or learning a language by phrase, learning a language by whole individual sentences or phrases or ways of expressing yourself, and so that you actually know how the words are coming together in a sentence. You're picking up grammar in a subconscious way rather than studying the rules. You know, you're going to see the patterns when you are chunking. And music is wonderful to do that because, first of all, there's actually repeating parts of music. The chorus is going to repeat at least. And then you're going to be listening to that song over and over and over again if you like it, which I'm guessing you do. Otherwise, you know, what's the point of listening to a song you don't like? And, you know, that in combination is just going to help certain phrases, certain sentences stick in your head. You're going to learn a ton of new words. You're going to be able to use them because they have been used in a sentence in that song you're learning. You're going to be able to figure out some grammar patterns because, you know, there's just going to be natural conjugation, if you will, in a song without you having to learn tables of conjugation. There's going to be natural cases, natural contractions, natural tenses, just everything in a natural way. And you are going to be able to notice those patterns. I kid you not, once in school, I was doing this exam and I was able to use the correct tense because I'd heard it used in a song before. I wasn't sure and I was like, what is the correct tense here? And it was just, you know, one of those drill questions. And I was just like, trying so hard to remember, and then bam, the song, and I was like, oh, okay. And so it's the way it is in that song. So usually in songs, the language used can actually be very interesting. In addition to that, you know, in addition to learning so many new things, you can also learn things that are not as easy to learn, such as how people talk in the street, you know, slang words. It doesn't have to be just slang, but just how people express themselves normally, which is something that is a bit more difficult to get with other forms of input. So sometimes, you know, if you're reading your favorite book, there's going to be this very proper way of speaking, but you might not necessarily pick up the way that people speak on the streets. And so music is wonderful for that because it just gives you this natural way of speech and just natural way of expressing yourself. Now, of course, there's some liberties that are taken in songs sometimes, such as, you know, mistakes on purpose, but are they really mistakes if people actually speak that way in real life? You know, because native speakers don't always speak in the most grammatically correct way, and music is a great way to learn how to actually understand that type of speech and how to also be able to speak a bit more naturally yourself and perhaps insert some of those phrases whenever you're speaking the language. So there's that aspect of it as well. And then there's also this wonderful opportunity to do some shadowing. If you're not familiar with shadowing as a term, you know, it's just this technique where you kind of repeat whenever somebody is speaking something, be it on a podcast, for example. You can do shadowing that way. You can repeat certain sentences, replies from the host and their guests, whatever. Or you can, for example, just be listening to whatever you want, perhaps news podcast, and you kind of repeat what's happened that day. Or you can just pick a TV show and do that. You can also do shadowing with music when you're singing. That's a way of shadowing. You know, you're repeating what the singer is saying. You're actually doing it at the same time as they are, and that can be really powerful. And that engages, you know, your speaking apparatus. So of course you learn to pronounce things in a better way. You also learn to kind of practice those skills for later when you're actually going to be pronouncing those words in front of native speakers. You're actually repeating and solidifying grammar patterns, solidifying vocabulary, learning it in context, which is really the only good way to learn vocabulary. Let's be fair, outside of context it's just worthless. You know, shadowing helps so much when it comes to learning how to speak the language, but also learning how to help better pronunciation and learning how to train that speaking muscle, just flex it a little bit. So with music, it's doubly powerful because you're actually enjoying the song. There's emotion involved. You know, oftentimes when we're singing out our favorite songs, it's just like, you know, so that really helps so much when it comes to the language sticking in your brain. You see, language learning is a lot about being open to the language. It's not, nobody can teach you a language you don't want to learn. Nobody can actually make that go into your head. You have to be open to the language. A lot of it is a psychological game. A lot of times, you know, you just have to be willing to let the language wash over you and to be willing to express yourself in a new way. So it really requires being open. And when it comes to your favorite songs, you're always open. You know, you're always like just willing to sing it and dance it and whatever. And just the whole engagement of emotion is really helpful. So try out learning through music. I think it's going to be wonderful for you. And in this video, I actually want to show you a couple of tips and tricks of how you can use different tools to actually learn through music in a better way. So of course, rule number one is to pick music that you actually like. I'm sure that no matter the language you're learning, there's going to be some sort of music that you like. There's going to be some artist that sings in the style that you like, regardless of the language. Of course, in some languages, you're going to find many more artists whose songs you like and who, you know, fit your style of music that you prefer, fine. But even in the most obscure languages, you're going to find some style and some artist that embraces that style that you like. So of course, only pick stuff you like. There's no point otherwise. And then what you can do is, of course, you know, pay attention to the lyrics, read the lyrics, see what the song is about. You know, reading, I feel like when you read the lyrics, it's double the effectiveness because you're listening, you're reading, maybe you're singing at the same time, just engaging so many senses. Of course, the more senses you engage, the better you learn, you know, the more efficient it is, the quicker it is. But, you know, you can also actually use a little bit of help, and that's where Link comes in. If you're a part of the language learning community, I assume you know Link because, you know, of course, it's super popular and many polyglots use it. But in case you don't, here's a little debrief. It was founded by Steve Kaufman, a legendary polyglot that studied over 20 languages. So Steve is actually the co-founder of Link, and it has thousands of hours of content for dozens of languages. And you're able to learn through comprehensible input, through stories, and through just using the content that you love. You're able to use it both on desktop and on mobile, and you're able to create a personalized learning plan that fits your needs, and you learn through the content that you actually like learning through. It's been recently redesigned, so the experience is actually very smooth. And here's how you can actually use this app to learn through music in a more efficient way. Now I'm gonna call attention to two of the features of Link that are not, perhaps you might not be familiar with, but are super cool features. So one of them is creating playlists. And this is obviously very useful if you want to keep all of your songs together in one place. The good thing with Link is that you can switch languages at any time. And of course, especially if you're learning several languages, You can have, different playlists for different languages. And once a song is in link, you're not only able to, read the lyrics, listen to the song the way that you can do anywhere, but in link, you can actually click on the words, turn them into links, or words to be reviewed later. You can then mark it as a known word. There's different stages, of like a completely unknown word, a little bit more known, fully known, etc. You're able to rehearse those words, those phrases, those sentences, whatever you want to do. And you're able to do that spaced repetition, but you're also able to click on every word, see its meaning, something that you cannot necessarily do if you just go to a random website and look up the lyrics of a song. But on Link, you can actually have the entire lyrics fully clickable, fully savable, and you can look them up, you can then review them later, you can do anything that you want. But with playlists, the way you would do in any music app, but you can do that in Link, which has many more functionalities than a music app, because of course music apps are not built for language learning, but Link is. So you get that functionality the way you would get it in anywhere you like to get your music, but then within Link you can also get all of those language learning benefits, save links, etc. And then you get the best of both worlds, both the Link experience and the playlist experience of an actual music app. But in addition to that, it's not just about music that you're able to do this. You can actually do that with anything, truly. What do I mean by that? I mean, here's an example. If you follow my channel, you know that my German is not fluent, it's somewhere around the intermediate level. So if I want to go back to my German, which I will, I'm planning to any day now, and I can go and I can add different lessons to a playlist. Or, for example, if I want to, I can actually just go right ahead and add all of the Link mini stories. You don't have to be lesson by lesson, it can be everything in a certain collection, and add it to a playlist. And that is super useful because when I'm on the go, when I'm not in front of my computer and I can't click on links and whatever, maybe I'm driving and my hands are occupied, I can just listen to that playlist and just go over the mini stories that I, earlier in the day, for example, I looked at them, I clicked, I saved words, etc. I was reading them, but maybe now my hands are not free and I can just listen to those stories using that playlist. So it doesn't have to be just about music, and it doesn't have to be about saving entire playlists. You can also just have Link create playlists for you without any effort on your part. What I mean by that is, let's take for example, like some of those French lessons that I completed, they're automatically saved as playlists. Just automatically, just because I completed a lesson. Now it's saved as a playlist so that next time I go out of my house, if I'm, have my hands occupied somehow, or if I'm at home and just like cleaning, I can actually listen to that playlist that's been created from my French studies. So that's really helpful. Another way that you can use Link for language learning is karaoke mode. And that's amazing, especially if you like to sing along to your favorite songs. This is a wonderful way to do so. Again, the way that you can do this is, for example, you import a YouTube video, and then once it's done importing, you can actually go to karaoke mode and you can sing along. So for example, Despacito is a very famous song that many Spanish learners love to sing, and let's say I import it into Link, and then I can actually, it's going to have these timed captions, and it's going to tell me exactly when certain phrases come along in the song, and I can sing along with the singer. And that way, as I mentioned, it's a form of shadowing, but it's also a form of solidifying knowledge, and it's a form of actually having fun. Of course, who doesn't like karaoke? So with karaoke mode, you can do that. Again, it's not exclusive to music though. If for example there's a certain video you import from YouTube, let's say that it's a podcast, or it can be any, that you don't have to import, you can choose any of the podcasts on Link, for example, and there's going to be a back and forth, and you can actually, the host is asking a question, you can actually pause, and you can then read out the sentence that the guest is replying back to the host, and then play it again, check if your pronunciation was good. So you can also do that. It doesn't have to be just about music and about singing, but I just wanted to give you those two features as very powerful ways to learn through music on Link. And of course, as an added bonus, show you how you can also use those features for non-music related listening and repeating, etc., which is a wonderful way to practice. As I mentioned, practice your pronunciation, or just learn when you're on the go, when you don't necessarily have access to your desk where you can sit down and just save words and look at those. Sometimes we don't have that ability, because listening is one of the best ways to learn, actually, be it music or not, because it is super efficient and you can do it anywhere, anytime. That's what I love about it, that I can be doing something else that is not engaging my brain, and I can just pop my AirPods in and just get some listening done. So those features, playlists and karaoke mode, are wonderful for that. Especially playlists are great when you're on the go, and karaoke mode is just great when you want to actually check in pronunciation, for example, or when you want to sing along to songs. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will love to answer them. I love to talk about the features of Link. I'm discovering new ones every day. And if you're interested in getting an annual membership for Link, I have a 35% discount code for you, which you can see on the screen right now. You can just use my discount code and get your 35% off of Link. So enjoy, that's my little gift from me to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I'm open for any questions. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. That really helps me as a creator. And don't forget that I now also offer coaching. You can DM me on Instagram and answer anybody that's interested in that. And yeah, we can have some fun that way. Thank you so much. And I'll see you here again next week. Until then, have a wonderful one. Bye bye.